code violation. But when you get a code violation, of course, the first thing you gotta do is to try to correct the issue. But sometimes we get in a dispute with the inspectors about what you have to do and what you don't have to do, am I right? So, if you get into that situation, obviously you're gonna meet with the code inspector or whatever, and you're going to argue or you're going to present your side of the story. But if you get into a real bad code violation case, and I've handled those before, you understand that at some point in time you're going to have to say, hey, we don't agree with it. We're just going to go to court. Now you know they have a hearing officer. All of you know that you got to be careful about that hearing officer, because you know what they've done in the past, which they're still doing. If you don't show up, they fine you $125,000, right? And that's BS, okay? But unfortunately, if you don't remedy that situation, file an appeal or whatever, that can be a legal judgment on you. So you don't want to take that for granted. But obviously, if you show up, if you meet with the inspector, if you disagree, you have some options. One option is to go to trial. Another option is, which I've used architects, I've used engineers, which I have in Galesburg. I've handled contractors to come in. I've handled all those to come in and testify over at room 203 at the courthouse. And the last one I had, which was a major one, I won it. They tried to tear the house down, but I brought an engineer, I brought an architect, I brought a plumber, I brought about everybody, and it kind of irritates you. So the only points I would make is, number one, try to settle it. Number two, if you can't, and you get in real beef, get an expert or get someone to come on your side. And then if that don't work, I guess just ask for a trial, or maybe get someone to represent you and go to a trial on it. There's one comment I gotta make about these code violations, and I've been thinking about it. It seems to me, you think that they're picking out certain landlords and maybe getting them to, attacking them more than others. I believe that there may be a factor in that. It seems like I've had several. I've got one going on right now on a porch on a house, and I had a contract to do all the work, and then they come up and said, well, it's not good enough, we got to have an engineer, or we're going to come over and inspect it ourselves. They haven't done that yet, okay, but they're going to probably. And the question then, what do I do with this porch? We framed underneath the porch and so on. But here's one of the rules. You don't have to make everything new. And they say it's got to be up to code. I question that. It doesn't necessarily have to be up to code, because a lot of your properties are grandfathered in. And you know what I mean by that. If they're grandfathered in, all you have to do is maintain the way they were. You don't have to build it new. So I've got an issue with that in my porch right now, and quite frankly, I'm going to have my guy look at it. If that don't work, I may just build a case on it. So be careful about that. Code violations. I had a code violation where someone made me build a whole new room on the whole house, and the house right next door has got a porch falling down. And when we said something to them, they said, oh, that don't matter. We don't care about that. So what do you think of that, huh? Well, anyway, if you go to trial, you have the right to appeal to the circuit court, and then you have the right to appeal to the appellate court. And I wouldn't be opposed to doing that. The last one I did, I noticed it up to the circuit court, and after that you go to the appellate court. I'd like to see a few more of these cases go to the appellate court to see what rights the city has to have, and whether it is borders on harassment. And I might just say, if you think that you're being harassed by the city, maybe all you as landlords ought to get together, and maybe we ought to go against them and say, hey, your approach is really harassment. In fact, they've got JMAX, all of you know JMAX, and they go around and they pick up your little boards and pick up little things that you don't even know were there, and then they send you a bill for $300. Did you get any of those? Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, you want to get photographs of what they did, and secondly, I question a little bit about what they're doing and whether that is an infringement or whether that is illegal for them to go in and do something and then send you a bill. As Mike said, you and I discussed it. If you're there, if your tenant is there and you're there, they can't come on your property. But if you're not there, they can come on your property. So on that JMAX deal, I questioned them. I have another case on JMAX that my daughter was working on, and she had someone go do the work, and then they sent us a bill for like $1,500. And the only thing it is, she had the pictures of the job that was done before JMAX came in. And she had a meeting with the city on that one. So we better be careful about JMAX coming in and just doing whatever the hell they want to do. You know what I mean? So that's about all I really have to do. If there's any questions on codes, talk to me or Mike. And yes.
Got a question for you about this. Them coming on your property. If you have no trespassing signs out, does that give you any recourse on JMAX coming on your property if you're not there? Does that give you any?
Well, if they come on your property, I think it would be a defense on any claims they make against you. It would be the same as any other defense on a criminal case, quasi-criminal, by stopping you or detaining you or things of that nature. So I would be careful about that. And again, I don't know if any of you had much trouble with these codes or not.
City treats non-owner occupied different than the treat owner occupied.
Yeah.
That's the bullshit.
Well, that's a possibility. Of course,
if you can have a house falling down like you said next door.
We've had a lot of clients, and Mike knows this, who come to us on issues of the city where you have to sign up, you pay for the city. And by the way, that's due, next week, the 27th?
28th.
And whether you sold on contract for deed. Obviously, I've known some people that put out a contract and say you're buying the house at $700 a month, right? And then when they don't work out, you say, well, you're out, I'm going to throw you out. Well, that's the problem. You can't just evict somebody in that situation. You have to go through a formal procedure under the statute to serve notice and let them recoup and things like that. Am I right, Mike? So if you're doing that, be careful about that. But anyway, I think we ought to all join in together, and if we have some issues like that, maybe report to one of your leaders here, and we look into it, because I wouldn't mind taking on some of these cases against the city when I feel they're unfair. If they're fair, we understand that. Okay, well, thank you very much.
I assume you own rental property the way you're speaking?
Yeah.
In Peoria?
Yeah.
Are you on Facebook personally?
No,
well, I tell you, we've kept this group super tight for years. Steve Sanchez, and there's not a lot of spam on it. I'm friends with your daughter on Facebook. She added me the other day. If we would love to add one of you guys to our group, we want you to be a manager, if you are. If you're, I'll send her the invite. We would love to have. Well, and she's an attorney as well, isn't she? Your daughter, Anna.
She's in law school.
Oh, she's in law school. She's almost there, but we can add one of you guys on Facebook because on our group.
Well, we're happy to give you free advice on those code issues if you got them.
Well,
I've handled some for the people where I didn't even charge them. Some people who are trying to make it on a house, and if we drag it out, if we fight the city, eventually they'll back off. And that was in the circuit court too. But anyway, yeah, if you got
we'll
any
get
problems,
one of you in there, cause
if
it's,
you got any problems like that, they give me or Mike a call, and, we'll see if we can get you the advice at least.
That's the question, do you still have to pay the city fee if you are doing a contract for deeds?
No, you don't.
Well, they told me I had to, I've been paying it on, I have a
Well,
hard time doing contract for deeds. Yeah,
To my knowledge, you don't.
yeah, you-
How could you? Because you're not the legal owner of that house.
or I am until the final payment.
Well, you are,
They don't
you have a legal
they don't
interest in
recognize the
it.
contract for deed as.
You have a legal interest in the house,
Yeah.
but,
You don't have to, if you're doing a contract for deeds, you don't have to pay for that.
I don't know the answer to that, Mike. My understanding is you don't, so. But you do risk yourself if you do that, because you can't just evict people. You know, you gotta go through this big process, right, Mike? You gotta serve 30 days notice, you gotta let them recoup. It's like, almost like a mortgage, or closing on a mortgage. But anyway, you all know that, so. But anyway, watch that J-Max and watch the city code, people. And if you think they're taking advantage of it, give us a call.
It's nice that the city just follows their own rules on posting abatement notice, and they change it up. Sometimes they just send in a work crew, sometimes they post the notice for you to resolve it.
I don't know about you, but I get these things in the mail, they say you owe me $100.
Right.
Garbage, you know? And it goes on and on every day, you know? This is the way they matrix them in, that's the way they pay J-Man.
Right.
But I usually make them disclose the pictures, you know what I mean? And you might wanna do this.
Sometimes they.
Some of you, and I'm involved, but maybe inspect your places once a week too, because they'll go out and cut your grass too, right? And inspect your property once a week, drive around, maybe take some photos and catch them, you know what I mean? I got one location where every week they're there doing
It's like
something,
they're harassing.
so I call it harassment. Anyway, but their time will come. Well, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
thank you. Mike, I have a question for you.